Blog Talk Radio.
Do you do when you don't know? Just go a gospel do-de-o-do. A Hurazi will journey with you from all the places on the go. What do you do when you don't know? Just go a gospel do-de-o-do. A Hurazi will journey with you from all the places others won't go.
You're listening to Ask the Unicorn, live with Ahurazi Deliza, answering all your paranormal, metaphysical, and spiritual questions. Call us now at 718-664-9638 to speak with Ahura, or post your questions via chat room on our show page. And now your host, Ahurazi.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ahurazi. You're on the air live on Ask the Unicorn. We're doing a special broadcast tonight only because we had to celebrate a birthday last night. This was for one of my dearest friends and students, and that would be Teus. I hope Teus had a wonderful birthday last night, and I hope this particular year of hers is going to be a spectacular one filled with prosperity, peace, and joy. Now, here's something that you all rarely hear me talk about, and that is celestial influence. Well, you kind of rarely hear me talk about it. We're going to do something that's a little more galactic and then turn grounded, because we're in the middle of an event right now, and that is the appearance of the comet Ison. And I'm sure that all of you have your comments on that. But what I want to focus on tonight is galactic influence or celestial influence. Those of you that know that your origins don't necessarily belong, or they're not necessarily here on Earth. In other words, galactic influence. Where do you believe that you're from, or your spirit or your soul is from? What do you have? What kind of story do you have, or what kind of experience do you have that would give you a reason to think that you are different from other people, or different from people who could be called Terrans or Earthlings? And what do you think about that? I mean, what do you think about terms such as star children or star seeds, or people who are half-breeds, or people who have some galactic influence? I have my own thoughts, but I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. We'll talk about the comment a little later, because I have some thoughts on that as well. But what I'd like to do is get what you think about celestial influence in your life. The fact that there are so many different beings that are in this universe, and so many different beings that there are in even our solar system, that we could be influenced in one way, shape, or form. Or perhaps you even have a memory or a knowledge of being someplace else before your incarnation here on Earth. Now, that doesn't mean to, go wackadoo with it. What it means is for you to actually think about whether or not you have that particular type of an influence. I know that many people do, and many people have these experiences and these visions, and they have their own experiences that I find very, very valid. I also find very, very serious. These are people that may or may not understand what they're going through, and some of them are very, very gifted. In fact, most of them are very, very gifted. So if you have a gift, perhaps you can say that is because of some celestial influence, and I'd just like to hear what you all have to say about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the floor to not only the questions, but we're going to open up the floor to callers. If there are those of you that would like to be able to call in and ask me a question, remember, I'll answer any question that has to do with the metaphysical, the spiritual, the paranormal, and the mystical. You can call 718-664-9638. That's 718-664-9638. Of course, you can always just write your question in, or tell your friends to call and ask a question. So I'm going to kind of open the floor just briefly, and what do we have first off? Oh, by the way, I'm here with Kazi. Kazi, say hello to everyone.
Good evening, all. Welcome to Ask the Unicorn. Thank you for listening.
And we are going to begin with our first question. What do you have for me?
This first question comes from Laurel, and she asks, what is your thought on light language, and have you ever experienced it? She says, I have always loved music and singing. I have always had a slight fear of singing alone in front of others. As a child, I used to make up my own songs and own language, or so I thought. I've experienced times when I would be singing in this opera/soulful kind of way, and I would start blabbering these weird words, but it would always sound so beautiful that I would cry. To this day, I still do the same thing. I have never done it in front of anyone. When I do sing like this by myself, many times I am accompanied by music and background singers, if you will. It is always a bone-chilling experience. It is very angelic. I'm not sure what exactly it is. What are your thoughts?
Well, I have quite a few thoughts on that, as a matter of fact. To understand that our English language may not be equipped, or any other language that is indigenous to this earth may not be equipped to express things. At the same time, understand that we all speak a universal language, and that being music. I myself am a musician and a composer. I have to say that I can relate to you on this, because sometimes the music that comes out of me is very, very spectacular, and I have to take a bunch of languages and combine them to get close to what it is that I'm actually hearing. And then if you keep doing it, you'll get exactly what it is that you're hearing. Now, I've written many, many songs, and some of our listeners have heard what I do with a language. For instance, there's one song that's called Gaia Chant that is what I call Gaia Speak, which is a combination of several different languages that are here indigenous. Now, when you have that particular type of an experience, you need to go with that experience, because that's coming from the inside of you. In other words, that's coming from your very spirit and your very soul. And the reason that it is so powerful is because it is coming from that deep place. Now, my teacher used to call that the heart cave. Okay, and what that basically means is that there's a special place that is your heart, but has more to do with your soul, that is like a giant place that you can express from. Now, I do this all the time, and if you ever get the opportunity to hear my wife sing, you'll hear that as well, and I'll play some of the songs so that you can. There's another song that we used in a movie that we made that was called Anikruya, that I use that same language and that same thought. So this is not something that is unheard of to people like yourself. You just need to go with it and develop it so that it becomes something that you do all of the time, not just once in a while. That particular soulful thing that you're talking about that sounds soulful and classical is a very natural form. It is an extremely natural form that you need to really develop. And if I were you, I would see what is being spoken to you at the same time as you're speaking it, so that you understand exactly what you're doing. I think it's quite beautiful, and I'll play you a song so that you can actually hear that a little later. Okay, I hope that helps you out. Okay, what do you have next?
Okay, this next question comes from Lori Ann Hines.
Oh, by the way, I need to correct something. I believe that the way that you pronounce her name is L'Oreal. L'Oreal or L'Oreal.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Right.
This next question is from another person, Lori Ann Hines, a.k.a. Anna, via email. In the last 4 years, I've been studying a great deal about religions around the world, spirituality, and especially how to find internal peace. I believe I'm an empath, something I learned about, and it makes sense as it fits me to the T. I am drawn toward learning about Buddhism from my great respect for the Dalai Lama, but still hold Christian beliefs. I have strange dreams, many of them forecasting things that come to pass. I also get flashes of ideas or visions, and they turn out to have meaning. I experience a lot of synchronicity. I feel like my intuition is very reliable and has turned out correct many times. I also have to wonder about past lives. I have strong feelings about certain time periods and people, as well as objects. How do you know when you have a psychic gift that may be powerful?
Okay. I think that the word powerful is subjective, but when you know that you're having a vision, it's a total experience. It's not just in one area. Okay, you can feel it, you can see it, you can taste it, touch it, smell it. You know what's going on. And that's when you understand that you're having an actual experience and not just a thought about certain things. Okay? So the other thing that I want to tell you is that one of the things that you shouldn't do is doubt your ability. or doubt what it is that you're seeing. You can be very discriminatory about what it is that you see so that you just don't go off of the edge of the earth. But what you can do is you can hold confidence in what you're seeing and then see if you can translate it and make sense of it. Okay? Now, remember, we're talking about galactic things, which basically means that that could be a whole spectrum of things, even involving the spiritual, because we have to remember that the spiritual transcends all things. Okay, so what you want to do with that, with knowing that you are having an actual experience, is see how it feels, and then see if you have a similar feeling with your sensory perceptions again. Okay, if you can do that on a constant basis and develop that, what will happen is you won't have to ask a question of a person as such as, well, how do I know? Because you'll know. Okay, for instance, I'm a telepath. I know that I'm a telepath. I don't need anyone to tell me that. Okay, I also know that I see what I see and I know what I know. Okay, I don't waste much time with belief because I know the belief is merely a stepping stone to knowing. It's acceptance, belief, and then knowing. Okay, and I don't have to have necessarily a verification for that, but what I can do is relate to another person that's having that type of an experience like you are. Okay, in other words, you're understanding these perceptions, and they may seem very, very wild to you only because of your physical body and only because of the physical environment that you may or may not be in. But you still have to make sure that you are focusing on that particular gift or that ability, so to speak. Sometimes people don't look at it as a gift. That's fine. I look at it as a gift, and I think that you should look at it as a gift as well. And develop it as much as you possibly can, because it can come into play. I mean, it just does. And you're right. There are some things that are going to be happening with our Earth. In fact, there's one that's happening right now. And this is a perfect segue for me to talk a little bit about this comet, Ison, that people are looking at. And some of the groups around are calling it a portent of doom or portent of the return of Christ. But I kind of have to caution everyone. Listen, this is a comet. It is a giant event. It is a celestial event, and it's also very special. However, we've got to stop reading into it with no foundation. In other words, it says in the Bible, for those of you that like to call it what you want to call it and say that it's the return of Christ and so forth and so forth and so forth, it does actually say in Matthew that nobody knows the hour or the day that that's going to happen, not even the angels or even the Son. Just the Father. That means all of us included, we don't know. So how about we stop speculating? And, for those of you that refuse to listen to that particular scripture or even, study it or research it, you can't call God a liar, okay? If God says only He knows, shouldn't you kind of believe that or at least accept it? Okay, so we'll get back to your visions. Listen, they're valid visions. You just have to learn to know what it is that you're seeing when you see it, and then accept it, and then move on with it. Okay? You really have to do that. If you need training, there are many schools. There are many places that you can go to, even one right here. Okay? I teach people how to develop their gifts. And it would be an excellent opportunity for you and an opportunity for me as well. So keep going with your vision. Don't be afraid of it. I know that from time to time it can be so prolific that it kind of scares you. Try not to be afraid. Remember, it's your vision. It's your ability. Therefore, it can't hurt you. And if you develop it, perhaps you can manipulate it to a point that you can change things that are within the vision that you don't like. And that is very, very, very possible. Okay, so I hope that helps you. If you need further help, you can always ask another question or call, and I can talk to you directly. All right, what do you have for me next?
Let's see. This next question is a continuation from Anna, and she asks, I wonder about ancestral magic too. Although I don't know anyone in my family firsthand who said they could do magic or see the future, my grandpa did make statements towards the end of his life that came to pass. Through his family there may be Celtic ancestors, and through my other grandpa there are Italians who lived near where the Stregheria lived. So I don't know. I've always felt very different than others, and I feel like I can sense what people are thinking and feeling many times. Based on this, do you think I have this kind of lineage, and do you think I might have potential to develop such a gift more?
Let me answer the last part first. Yes, you do have potential to develop the gift more. The first part, we'd have to actually do a discovery or a research. We'd have to find out. Okay, if you're talking about lineage, then we'd have to go back and find if there was someone that had that particular gift. But it's not necessarily something that you need to do. We can start from right now. Okay, and say that you're obviously seeing something, you're obviously feeling different. We all feel different from one another. However, if there's something that you do that causes you to feel different, I think that it warrants some form of research or some form of investigation. So that's something that you need to investigate yourself or have someone help you investigate it. There are many resources, not only online but offline, that you can try out. And try to see what you can see. You need to be in an environment where it's safe, and then try to see what you can see. Now, here's something that you can begin with. If you just do a simple meditation with a candle and sitting still, close your eyes, take a deep breath, relax, sit comfortably, make sure you're sitting comfortably, make sure the candle is in a very safe place. See if you can close your eyelids, sitting straight, and see the light of the candle through your eyelids. Not that you're going to see the flame necessarily, but you want to at least see the light from the candle. And just take a few deep breaths, relax yourself even further, and then reach out with your feelings like two hands from your head and see if you can actually feel the warmth of the candle from where you're sitting. Do not bend forward, okay? Do not bend near the candle. And for those of you that think that's ridiculous, if I'm mentioning it, it's because someone did. Okay, so it's better for you to just sit comfortably with the candle, maybe about 3 or 4 feet away from you. Make sure it's safe, and reach out with your feelings. And then develop that. Get real good at it, and then see what you can see. Reach out with your feelings to see if you can pick up something, feel something, hear something. Okay? And then develop that a little more. You may need someone to help you. You may need to have someone make sure that it's safe. You may need to go get instruction, in which case, again, I do teach lessons. And I teach development, psychic, paranormal, telepathic development. There may be a tower of vision in you that is untapped. So, yes, it is possible. And I do think you have something there. All right. Okay, now I'm going to take a small break to play a song, and this will actually help some of you. And then I'm going to come back, and I'm going to have a phone call. We're going to open up the phone lines as well. Now, this particular song is called Gaia Chant. It's one of those songs that I was talking about that we use a different type of a language, and that language is a combination of many of the languages which exist here on Earth. So I hope you all enjoy it, and we'll be back momentarily. I am Ahura Z. This is Ask the Unicorn.
Ayovando, Anayawayano, Pase Adonai,
And that was Gaia Chant by Pisces Projekt. If you like that music, you can go to Unicorn One Records and order it or download it. And that would be www.unicornonerecords.com. And you can find any of the music that you hear on this show on that site as well. Okay, now I told you that we're going to go to the phone lines, and I have Elise online. And Elise, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. How about you? You sound really good.
Oh, thank you. So do you. What can I do for you this evening, dear?
Okay, I have a question. There was a place where I used to go to, that like a woods that I used to go to when I was in high school, and there was a big mansion in the woods, and there was these other buildings that were close by. There was a stables. You could tell it was a really old building. And we used to play in the stables and look around in there. And then I guess one day they tore the stables down. But when I kept going there, there was a stables, exactly the same stables, but it wasn't the physical building wasn't there anymore. It was just like it was translucent. You could see right through it. And I was wondering, are buildings ghosts also, or what does that mean?
Well, what that means is that the energy of a thing lasts far longer than the thing itself. In other words, if there's a concentrated amount of energy, for instance, let's say that you go to a certain place all the time, and everybody else goes to this place all the time. Even though that building may be torn down, the energy will exist of that building far longer. And there's a pretty good chance that that building will, if someone else builds, they may build something similar to the original formation, physical formation that was there. Energy precedes matter, but it also lasts after matter. It's kind of like a snail shell. In other words, you see the snail, and you see the trail that the snail leaves behind. Okay,
yeah,
they'll even leave their shell. Well, that's mostly the energy of that thing. You can think of energy the exact same way. Okay, it takes a while for it to actually break down, unless someone goes in and understands energy and physically breaks it down. You can't really just destroy it, but you can dissipate it. You can rearrange it. You can change it, or you can just leave it there. Okay, and it just goes to the simple equation that, if something was there, the energy of it will last far longer than the actual physicality of it. And that's even with that's even with people, which is why we have ghosts. Okay, they can have a person that just went the same pattern every single day, and then when they leave this earth physically, people may see a ghost. And what they say is, it's a spirit. No, that's a ghost. That's an actual energy trail that just happens daily. That's why they see it every single day. It's the same thing going over and over and over and over again. So it works the same for a building, yes.
Oh, okay. It makes a lot of sense. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Does that help you?
Yeah, it helps a lot. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad. Well, it's good to hear from you again. And I like when you call in, and I like when other people call in, because then I get to actually speak to someone.
Okay.
So you have a good evening, and I'll talk to you soon.
Okay, you too.
All right. Thanks, Elise.
Okay, welcome. Bye.
Okay, that was Elise, one of our listeners. And for those of you that are out there listening, you can also call in. I do enjoy talking to people live. As long as your questions pertain to the spiritual, metaphysical, the even extraterrestrial, the paranormal and the mystical, I will answer your questions. If I can help you with a personal matter, I will do that as well. If you have questions about things that are going on, such as current events that are happening on a mystical level, as long as I know about them, I will answer you. No one knows everything, but I know a lot based upon my ability. Okay, now, again, for those of you that like the music, you can find that music on Unicorn One Records. That is www.unicornonerecords.com. And for those of you that have questions that you want to write in, please feel free to write your questions. I'll try to get to all of them. You all ask a lot of very, very good questions, and I really enjoy answering them. So the more the merrier is the way that I feel about it. Now, that leads me right back over to Kazi, and I'm going to ask, what do you have for me next?
This next question comes from our chat room from the Memphis, and they ask, are there galactic laws that protect the Earth, and who enforces them? And along the same lines, our Alicia Valentine also asks, does the Galactic Federation actually exist?
Yes, definitely. It's more the Intergalactic Confederation, because you would have to say intergalactic because there are many, many galaxies, and that they all would need to have some type of an agreement. Okay, now let's go back to Namenfesh's question. Yes, the Earth does have certain things that protect it. Some of them on a physical level, such as the magnetosphere and the ionosphere. All those things, they really do protect us. They keep us from harm from the sun and the sun's rays. But they also keep certain things out. Now, what those things are, they're questionable, such as the archons. Archons really can't manifest here physically unless they have an anchor, and we are that type of an anchor to be able to do things on a physical level, but they can influence things greatly. Now, that means good and bad. Now, those people would be looked at kind of like, the ones that protect would be looked at kind of like policemen, or intergalactic policemen, if you will. Not like our land police, but I would dare say that our land police are very much patterned after intergalactic police, and even psychic policemen. They're all very, very patterned after the ways of the universe. There has to be some order, and there has to be some accounting for things that are done on an intergalactic level, or even on a psychic level, just as there are things that are regulated on a physical level. Now, these beings can be called psychic policemen if you like, or they can be called universal police if you'd like. I like to think of them that way. They can also be called angels. They can be called shining ones. They can be called special beings that clean up the universe. Now, you can call them what you'd like. Their job is what is important. We like to put stock in names of things, but you're absolutely correct to know that there are intergalactic policemen, yes, and their job is to clean up things, and they show up at different times in different places. Sometimes we humans are very afraid of them. We really don't have any reason to be afraid of them, but because it's something that we don't know or understand, most of us kind of run for the hills or get upset or think that it's something that is not. We can't call everything a demon, and that figure that you see huddling over in the corner or standing over in the corner may be the very one that saves you. So we kind of need to take more of an objective approach to such things. But that is a very good question. There are certain things that protect the earth, certain spiritual principles that protect the earth, and certain things that enforce that. All right. Now, I hope that helps you. And what we're going to do now is go back to the phone. What I have here is, who I have here is Michelle. So I'm going to bring Michelle in, and we'll have a chat with her. How you doing, Michelle?
I'm alive.
Okay. That's good.
I'm sick. I got a cold.
Well, what can I do for you this evening? It's good that you're alive, because otherwise I thought I was talking to a ghost.
Whatever. Well, I had a dream.
Okay.
And of my personal things recently happened with two people passing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So one of them was John. It was John's dad, and we were in a car, and he grabbed my hand, and he said, he was telling me I have to let go.
Yes.
I got to let go. And that's all he kept telling me. And he held my hand, and he just kept telling me, you have to let me go. You have to let me go.
Okay.
Why?
That was pretty blatant. What do you mean, why?
Why?
That was pretty pretty blatant. What have I been telling you? You have to let him go.
I know.
You have to let him go.
Why did they do that?
What? Why would you do that?
Why do they do that?
Well, they do that when you're holding them back. Don't you understand? Listen, you have to let them go just like they have to let you go. Otherwise, things are out of order. You'll be waiting around for the rest of your life and being upset because this person has left. Listen, it was very, very unfortunate. And I know that it's going to take time for you to heal. But you need to start getting yourself into a position where you're letting that person go so that you can move on with your life. And then they can move on to their next event. Otherwise, you're putting chains on them. You ever see the old depictions of ghosts that have chains on them?
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're doing by being attached to them. You're holding them back. Now, I understand.
Now, if you hold them back and do that, I mean, I know, you know me, and I'm going to let go, because he obviously came to me for a reason, and that was to tell me I have to let go. So I'm going to.
That's pretty blatant.
Because I know that. So, but is that why when they, like, the spirits and stuff like that, they become angry because people keep them here?
Well, there's a possibility of that, but I don't think that's going to be the case.
But no, but I'm saying in just in general, not speaking for my situation, but is that, I'm talking in general, like if someone was to hold somebody back, is that when they become angry and cause havoc?
Well, wouldn't you be angry if someone was holding you back from where you should be?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, it's not like they lose their common sense or they lose their minds. They just merely lose their body. You have to be very considerate of people that are moving on and understand that, even on a universal basis, you'll only be allowed to stand in the way for so long before it just kind of gets ripped from you. So the best thing that you can do is cooperate with the universe by allowing that spirit to be where that spirit needs to be. And if anything, saying things on a positive level that will help them to continue their journey.
Right, okay.
Because that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
So let him go. He can't drive your car. He can't control your life, nor can he lead your life. You have to lead your life, and you have to get on with things.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
And you need to bring your tail in here and see me sometime. Yes,
boss. I'm moving my hiney. I'm getting out. So
good.
I'm just starting to feel better. Like I told you.
That's what I want to hear.
Doing what you taught me before a long time ago. Play video games.
Yeah.
And I
when
tell
all
you,
else fails,
it works.
play a video game.
And that's
play
what
a video game.
And it works because it's brought me out of my, it sort of snapped me out of it, I guess you could say.
Mhm.
So,
Good.
I've been playing, I feel a lot better.
Okay.
So.
Remember the thing about dreams. Dreams have different meanings. Okay, and this one was pretty blatant, but they're not always that blatant. Okay.
Right.
When and remember one of the policies that I have, when something bad happens to somebody in your dream, don't go tell them about it. Keep that to yourself. You always keep that to yourself. Okay? All right. Well, it's good hearing from you, and I do hope to hear from you in the future. Okay? You have a great night, and get your tail out of the house. All right.
I'm going to. Love you guys.
Love you too, sweetie.
Okay. Bye.
Bye-bye. And that was Michelle. That was a pretty good question and a pretty good example of how sometimes spirits will talk to you quite blatantly. The best thing you can do is listen because it helps them and it helps you. All right, let's go back to some of the questions that we have. What do we got?
Next question is from Tony, and he asks, hold on, one moment, sorry. Okay, here it is. If one were to feel like they weren't from this planet, what would be a good way for them to determine what planet they're from?
Do some research on different planets. Reach out and see if you can feel an affinity for something. It's kind of like, if you don't like chocolate, okay, or you see chocolate and you don't like it, that means that there's no affinity for chocolate. However, if you do like it, then you have an affinity for chocolate. That means that you're part human at least, What you can do is do some galactic research. Go on your own little journey. No one can determine that for you. No one can determine for you whether or not you're from a certain part of the galaxy or you have certain things within you. You're going to have to discover that for yourself, and then by the development of it, it will begin to show. Okay? For instance, if you have an affinity with Jupiter, find out what Jupiter's about, at least on a scientific level, and then go into your own intuition about it. Okay? Remember, science is ill-equipped to do a lot of things, but it does have some validity, so you might as well look into it. Maybe there's a planet out there in the next galaxy that you can relate to, and if you can relate to that planet, find out what that planet is about, at least on an intuitive basis. We're much more powerful than we think, and we're much more intuitive than we think. However, that's not something that we're taught unless you're an artist. Okay? The first rule of being an artist: be as intuitive as you possibly can and as imaginative as you possibly can. It's amazing that that's not taught in school. It would help people with their grades and make school a lot more pleasant. Okay? So that's one method that you can use. If you believe that this particular planet that you're on doesn't hold what you need, then it's time for you to move outside of the box. Okay? Don't go around telling people that you're from a different planet, though. You keep that to yourself unless you're among people who have that same type of a view. Okay? And even then, be careful. At all points, though, use common sense. You may have something that's very beautiful and very sacred that you don't want dragged through the mud. Okay? So do some research. Do a lot of research. Find out where you can actually go. Listen, we have the right to go and be and do whatever we want. I suggest that we all use that. I hope that helps you. Okay, what is our next question? What do we have next?
Our next question is from our chat room, and they ask, our bodies have DNA which determines what type of being we will be. Is there also a higher DNA which determines what type of soul or spirit we will have?
Definitely.
I have friends who have Arcturian or other types of alien souls but look human.
Okay, definitely that. But remember, we live on this particular world, which means there are certain rules. There are certain things that we have to abide by, specifically because we're born into a human form. Okay? Now, if we weren't born into a human form, or we underwent some etheric type of a transfer, we'd still be within this particular form, or a form very similar to it. Now, I think it's kind of ludicrous that we watch a lot of movies and every alien that there is looks like us, or looks like a semblance of us, because there could be all different types of aliens, and all, I hate using that word, all types of beings, and we probably should be a little more open as to what they might look like or what they live like. But in this particular world, we have a certain look. We don't all have to look the same, even though there are groups that think we should. We don't all have to do the same things. We don't all have to be the same. But there is a semblance that runs throughout all of us. There is something that relates us all. Now, if you are looking for the higher DNA, you'd have to look for something that is more intangible than it is tangible, or very, very hidden and undeveloped. Eventually, that higher DNA will show itself on a physical level. We're moving very fast towards that. But you also have to be able to handle that on a neurological, on a mental scale as well. Otherwise, it would cause a crash. It's kind of like you could be the smartest person in the world, but if you're not emotionally developed and you're not physically developed to handle the energy that might run through you, that causes a crash. And many people whose origins began on a galactic level or celestial level have that exact problem. You know, there are many that have the gifts, but they don't have the grounding ability, or they may be too grounded, or maybe they're having a hard time in this particular environment, and there are things that need to be done. So what you have here is kind of a hybrid species, which is what we are human. We're a hybrid species. Now, there are higher species and there are lower species. There are also those species that are a combination, those that have come in to visit and then, implanted us in a certain way, mostly on a physical level, sometimes on an etheric level. That's what we like to call walk-ins, okay, or even on a spiritual level. All of those are things that we are open to and subjectable to as human beings. You can't take like over 1 million or 1 billion people who have had an extraterrestrial experience and tell them that they're wrong simply because you don't see it. And at the same time, you have to be careful about what it is that you validate. But yes, there are different types of a genetic structure. Remember, DNA may determine about 90% of what it is that you're going to be, but things can change minutely. And they can change based upon an environment, they can change based upon a chemical structure or a social strata. So you have to kind of be open and understand that there's a reason that we're such pliable beings, and there's a reason that we're so changeable. We're also very, very adaptable. We're a very adaptive species. We can adapt to anything. We're very, very resilient. Perhaps not as resilient as most species, but we are pretty good, and we're getting better all the time. Hopefully, there are some things that you see on TV that make me wonder sometimes, but we're a pretty resilient species and very, very changeable. So yes, definitely, there is a higher structural process to our evolution. All right. Now, what I'm going to do is take a short break for just to get you some information about our show, and I'll be back momentarily. I want you all to think about your questions and think about things that you may desire to share, and if you'd like, you can call in to share your experience, and that would be 718-664-9638. That's 718-664-9638. You're on the air live with Ahura Z. This is Ask the Unicorn.
You're listening to Ask the Unicorn with Ahura Z. DeLisa, answering all your paranormal, metaphysical, and spiritual questions. Call us now at 718-664-9638 to speak with Ahura, or post your questions via chat room on our show page. If you have an issue you'd like to discuss with Ahura in more detail, he offers telepathic readings and spiritual counseling by phone and Skype. Ahura also teaches private classes online using Skype video. For more information, visit Unicorn Cove School of Metaphysics at www.unicorn-cove.com. And now back to Ask the Unicorn.
Okay, in a short moment, we're going to play a song. You probably heard me talking about it. This particular song is called Anikruya. That was Anikruya. That is Pisces Projekt. And I hope you all enjoyed that. We're still learning how to do the radio thing, so if I make a few mistakes, you gotta excuse me. I'm very, very new to this. But if you like that music, you can order that music as well at www.unicornrunrecords.com. And, it's really, really interesting. We've been filming a movie, and that movie is Falkir. And I'd like to say a few things about it. It's a movie about 4 women that are taken from different time periods and different cultures and brought together and given the choice to defend the earth or be left to their demise, and they become the legendary Valkyrie. And we've been working very hard on it, and if you'd like, I would have you all go to the website sometimes, the Falkir website, and check out the movie. I think that you will enjoy the movie when it comes out. We're doing a wonderful job on it, and I would like your support, and hopefully you like us, and if you feel that you need to make a donation to help us along, we would be more than welcome to receive it, which brings me to donations. If you like what you've heard so far on Ask the Unicorn, please consider making a small donation so we can keep the show running. Okay, they go towards paying our monthly airtime fees so that I can get on the air every week and answer your questions. Now, I'd like to do more than one show a week, and if you feel that the show is helping you in any way, shape, or form, we would appreciate donations. They can be made using the donation button on the front page of our Ask the Unicorn website at www.asktheunicorn.com. That's www.asktheunicorn.com. And we appreciate all donations, and we really like doing this particular show. So, that being said, I'm going to move back into the question box and see what we have. What do we have, Kazi?
Well, we just have a comment from Arlisha Valentine. She was saying that she has had several dreams of being in a white robe, teaching children outside on the ground, and she has met these kids in this lifetime.
Awesome. That's pretty prophetic there. You've met the children in this lifetime, which probably tells you should follow up on it, which means that you should learn, if you don't already know how to teach, you should learn how to teach, and that means you should learn how to develop yourself so that you have something to teach these children. Now, if that's also an indication that perhaps you have a role with children. And if I take children, I can also say with adults that are really children. We're all just children. We like playing adult, and we get a little older and still children playing adults. So I think that what that's telling you is that there may be a role for you, a universal role in helping these children. And if you met these children, that's prophetic, which means that you've known them even before you were here. So could that be in a place that we like to call heaven? Could it be someplace else? Could it be on some other planet? Could it be out in the galaxy somewhere, or another galaxy, or another universe? I think that all of these questions and all of these, the things that I've said, deserve to be explored. Maybe you really do have a purpose as a teacher. So investigate. Use your intuition. Reach out with your senses and see what it is that you have. And when you do discover something, develop it. You owe it to yourself and to those children. So, what's our next question?
Next question comes from Shelley, and she says, in my dream, I had a person standing in front of me that I made mad and was crying in the dream. I looked at that person in front of me, and I said I was sorry, and as soon as the person was going to say something to me, I woke up and it was left unresolved. What does this mean? What was that person in my dream trying to say, and how do I resolve this?
That's pretty good. That was a clearing dream. That's what that is. It's a clearing dream. Sometimes the dreams are to help you to clear things that have actually happened. We know that you've gone through an experience where you made someone upset, or they got upset over something that you did, and it's never been resolved. And at least you feel it's never been resolved. That was just your emotional clearing. Sometimes dreams are exactly for that, to help you move on and let go of something. Okay, so That's what that was about. That was an emotional clearing. We know that, you've told me about an experience that you had, and when you dreamt about it, and even if it was another experience, that's still the same meaning. You needed to be able to confront that and at least let go of some of the feelings that you were harboring or some of the emotional reactions that you had. Otherwise, it can just drive you crazy. It can cause a lot of stress. So the dream body took over and just said, hey, let me do this for you. Let's create this situation so that we can at least get some of the pressure off of us. And that's exactly what that was for. I hope that helps you. Okay, I need to talk to you a little bit about dreams. When you have your dreams, understanding that the dreams have several different reasons. Some of them are prophetic. Not all of them are. Some of them are merely just to help you clear things. Some of them are to help you with things that have happened in the past. Sometimes they will be about your past life. Sometimes they'll even be about a future life. Okay, but remember something. They are dreams. Okay, because you see someone in your dream doesn't necessarily mean that that's that person. It's merely a representation of what it is that you may be going through or what it is that you may be about to go through. Now, if you have a bad dream, it's very easy to change the outcome because sometimes your dreams can be very prophetic and they can lead you to a place that will be uncomfortable. For instance, you're being chased by this huge monster. You're wearing a red bow tie. The best thing for you to do is to see if you have something that is a red bow tie and get rid of it. You've changed the possibility. Do you know that the dream world is such a magnificent mechanism that it has so many different mechanisms that any of them can be changed at any moment in time? Okay? This is true. You can actually be your own solution to a problem. You get in the dream, you got in an argument with the boss and wound up getting fired. You had on your brown coat, your favorite brown coat, and you had on some blue shoes and pinstripe pants. The best thing for you to do is change one of those things. You have minutely changed the possibility. You have minutely changed the outcome. It may present another outcome, but you've changed that outcome. If something disastrous happened, get rid of that article of clothing that you may have been wearing. Then you've changed it altogether. It may cause something else again, but you've changed that. Now, if you see something good, try to remember what you wore and maybe match it. You may bring about that particular thing. Like if you happen to have won the lottery and you were wearing all blue, and it's a specific type of a blue with specific pattern, you had on these pants, this shirt, these shoes. Don't you think it would be a good idea for you to match that? At least try to match it. Dreams are very unstable, and at the same time, they can be the most stable existence that there is. Remember that. Okay, what have you got for me?
On the same note, how do planets affect our dreams?
Planetary influences. Yes, they do affect our dreams. It depends mostly on the moon. This is what people used to call lunacy. In other words, our moon affects us greatly, and so do the other moons. The planets affect us on a daily basis and also in our dreams. For instance, if you're going through a very powerful time with Jupiter, you're liable to have Jupiterian influenced dreams, which can have anything to do with finances or even finances or things on a very large and expansive scale. It could also have to do with government. For instance, we just went through a very Jupiterian experience when someone decided that it was a really good idea to close down the government and then blame somebody else for closing down the government. Okay? That's a Jupiterian experience. That has to do with government and things of a governmental order or things of a governmental nature. That also has to do with the expanding of something, the expansion of things. For instance, there could be some very expansive things in rebuilding or restructuring. That's a Jupiterian experience. You're having something to do with finances on a global scale. That's a Jupiterian experience. Usually when it comes to Jupiter, which is also a form of healing and a form of sacredness, when you start dealing in these particular areas, you're dealing with Jupiter. So Jupiter does have, if you're doing something that is very disciplinary, in other words, you just redefined your workout program, you put yourself on a structuring mechanism that you get things done, and you're adhering to that particular program. That's very Saturnian. You're cutting out a lot of your frivolousness. That's very Saturnian. Okay, for instance, if you're very active and you decided with passion that you're going to do something, you're having a very Martian experience. If you're looking for something that has to do with bravery or something that has to do with moving the mysteriousness out of your life, you're dealing with something that has to do with Jupiter. If you're looking for something very quick and you're learning communication and you're learning how to do things on a very, very quick and precise nature, then you're dealing with Mercury. If you're learning about your own life force and you're learning about detail, you want to make sure that your body's intact and make sure that there are things that are being healed within you so that you can do other things. You're dealing with a very Plutonian experience. Okay, all of these things play into things, but in order for you to do that, you're also going to have to take two sciences, which are very, very accurate. One is a divine science and one is a physical science, and that's astronomy and astrology, and you're going to have to mix them so that they become what they were in the beginning so that you can understand what a planetary influence is. Listen, there is no planet or celestial body within our solar system that we are not influenced by. And in order for that to happen, that means that there has to be some part of each one of those celestial bodies that have to do with our existence here on this earth. And that is just the truth. Okay? So this is one way. Now I can go on for the next three or 4 hours telling you about celestial influences, but we only have a little time. Okay? But I will make sure that I talk about this on a weekly basis a little bit. Okay? For those of you that have questions about celestial natures, which is what I'm really looking for people to call in and talk about their own experiences or ask questions about their own experiences, I will answer those as well. Okay, so I hope that helps you. Let's move on to our next question.
Next question is, how can one learn to embody their own planetary influence?
One of the ways that you can do it is what I said earlier, is to do some research on what planet you think that is influencing you. Yeah, it would be a wonderful idea, a wonderful thing for people to at least learn basics of astrology. Okay, which means that it'll lead you to some other things such as numerology and telemetry and so forth. But everyone should know some astrology. Listen, a lot of things that you people go out and read, like horoscopes, if I were you, I'd stay away from them because they're really just not valid, because we're not all the same. You're going to have to go on your own astrological journey. In other words, it would help you, it would behoove you to learn something about astrology so that you're not duped by someone that says, oh, this is for all Pisceans, stay inside today because it's going to be wet. That's ridiculous. Okay? We're not all the same. There's no two of us that are the same. We're so different in so many ways. And you need to know specifically how the planets influence you. So you can pick up an ephemeris. Okay? You can also go to people who are qualified astrological people, or people who are logicians that can actually do that for you. Okay? Myself being one of them. And we can at least give you a way that you yourself can plot your course. You can navigate your own chart because I can show you how to build a chart. Okay? And it will help you, or where the planets actually are. Okay? For those of you that want to learn astrology, understand that I also do classes in astrology. Astrology, numerology, telemetry, soul travel, soul retrieval, meditation. All of these things are part of what it is that I actually teach. And by the time I'm done with you, you'll be able to navigate your own life. And that's something that's very, very important for those of you that really want to know. Now, for those of you that do want to take classes, you can reach me at several locations. One of the locations you can reach me at is at Unicorn Cove School of Metaphysics, which is my school. That's www.unicorn-cove.com. And we can set up an interview for you and determine what it is that you're gifted at. And maybe even determine where it is in the galaxy that you're from, or what influences you. I can usually tell just by looking at you and talking to you for a moment. And that might help you. Okay? So, I hope that helps out. What's our next question?
Our next question comes from our chat room. How can we ask visitors for help, and will they help us?
You know, that's long been a question that people have asked, and I think it's a very good question. So I'm going to tell you this way. You ask them for help all of the time, but the best thing that you can do is learn how to help yourself. Okay, and if you're helping yourself, then perhaps those visitors will be able to pay attention to you, and they'll see that you're already doing as much as you possibly can. Okay, and maybe they'll help you on their own. Okay, you ask them for help, but you got to be doing all that you can possibly do on your own, and this is just the way that it is. So hopefully that will help you out. Do as much as you possibly can, then look up into the sky and say, hey, you know, I need some help. And then be patient, because they may not help you in the way that you think that they're supposed to help you, but they will definitely help you. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do for this evening is I'm going to close our questions just for tonight. And this has been a very good show. I really enjoyed myself this evening. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves. I would like for you all to write your questions down. I would like for you all to keep as many questions as you possibly can. And for those of you that would like to call in, the number is right there, 718-664-9638. I will answer as many questions as possible. In the meantime, I'd like to leave you all with this. When you see a celestial thing happening, such as a comet or a celestial body or a meteor shower, one of the things that we've got to learn is that it doesn't mean the end of things. I don't know why people are always willing to end things or want to end things. It's better for you to live your life and live your life in peace. If it is the second coming, you'll know it. Okay? And for all of you people that are out there telling people tales of doom and gloom and using something so sacred as the Bible to do that, shame on you. Why don't you let people live in peace and discover for themselves? It's the best thing that you can do. Stop making everybody paranoid and scared. I don't think that God likes the idea that you're causing people to be afraid of him, and nor does the goddess, nor does Christ. So stop it. I'm Ahura Z. This is Ask the Unicorn. I am always at your service. Have a good evening, and I'll see you all next week.
You've been listening to Ask the Unicorn with Ahura Z. Deliza. If you have a personal matter you need help with, Ahura offers telepathic readings and spiritual counseling by phone and Skype. He also teaches private classes in an array of subjects online using Skype video. Visit Unicorn Cove School of Metaphysics for more information at www.unicorn-cove.com. If you have a question for Ahura to answer on a future episode of Ask the Unicorn, you can email it to questions@asktheunicorn.com and we'll add it to the list for our next show. Ask the Unicorn broadcasts live every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time on Blog Talk Radio. Visit our website for more information and to hear archived episodes of our show at www.asktheunicorn.com.
When you don't know, just go and ask for do-de-o-do. Ahura Z will journey with you to all the places on the go. What do you do when you don't know? Just go and ask for do-de-o-do. Ahura Z will journey with you to all the places others won't go.